with all that, final thing here, all the third-party stuff, all the first-party stuff, all the pricing, is Switch 2 off to a good start? Because the number one, like, most viral thing I saw on social media after this was, like, when is Nintendo going to give me something to play on Switch 2? And I just thought that was crazy. Brian's looking at me.
I understand it, if that's fair.
You do?
Which is like, if you've been playing video games elsewhere, a lot of the stuff that is coming to Switch 2 in this first year is, ports and remakes or whatever. I get that, but I do think that people are being overly harsh, especially if we look back on the Series X and PlayStation 5's first year, let alone 2, where they really did not get much at all in that time because supply issues were crazy and the pandemic delayed a bunch of stuff. Those were really barren launches for a long time compared to Switch 2. The fact that we've gotten World and then we immediately got DK and then we've basically gotten some either Switch 2 version plus expansion or brand new game every month until January that's impressive, right? That's a lot. And I think that is worth celebrating in a real way. And even if it's not even if a lot of those things are revisiting past things, which is not as exciting a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think there are some things to complain about. I mean, I feel like we have spent a lot of the show being maybe a little more on the negative side. And a lot of that is due to the fact that everything's really expensive. Some of the things they're releasing are kind of weird or not exactly what we would have asked for. That said, there is a lot there, and especially compared to the other consoles that are out right now. And if you just have a Switch 2 and you're just looking for things to play, there is something out there for you. And almost certainly there are multiple things right now. So I feel like it's in a really good spot. I mean, clearly it's still selling really well, but just as a fan and not really paying attention to business numbers, I am overwhelmed with video games right now. I am playing so much Silksong. I want to get back to Donkey Kong. There's a bunch of stuff coming up, like the Pokotopia, whatever. I might play Metroid Prime 4. I don't know. The new Pokemon game's coming out. Oh my gosh, that's in October. That's so soon.
It's like a month away. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's just so much going on. Dragon Quest down the line. Square Enix has a bunch of stuff coming up.
Octopath, yeah.
Yeah, there's just it really does feel like there's a lot that's going to make me personally very happy, and also tons and tons of things that I don't care about but someone else does. So a wealth of options, maybe not a wealth of money to spend on them, but one thing at a time, one game at a time.
I think it's very easy. Like Reb just said, it's very easy to get nitpicky about the sort of the areas around what these games are, right? Like we talked about the DLC rollout and what constitutes a free update and what is paid and yada yada yada. And I think one of the big talking points leading into the launch of the Switch 2 was where's my big 3D Mario? And then we found out that the 3D Mario team was making Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is a game I spent 75 hours playing, and that totally scratched that itch. So I guess to the people who are saying that it's off to a bad start, what is it missing for you specifically? Do you need a brand new 3D Mario? Because I agree, I would love one of those. But in the meantime, I'll take Bonanza, which is a thing I didn't even know I wanted, right? And do you need a new 3D Zelda? Because yes, I completely agree. But also, you saw how long it took between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I do have a hunch we'll get something added to Tears or some sort of something, right? I don't know if it'll be another Echoes of Wisdom size game, which is a top-down, or a remake of Oracle of Ages and Seasons. Feels a little more logical to me. I would love a brand new 3D Zelda game, but it seems like those are big, gigantic tentpole things now that we might see halfway through the Switch's life, or Switch 2's life. And so I guess just ask yourself, what are you missing right now that the Switch had that Switch 2 doesn't have yet? Because you're getting a new Pokemon, it's getting day and date a bunch of third-party games that are running pretty damn well, which never really happened before.
And we were very worried they weren't. That was our huge concern.
Yeah, and we're seeing these miracle ports, Star Wars Outlaws. I love that game on Switch 2. I spent 70 hours playing that game on Series X. I uploaded that cloud save, and downloaded it on Switch 2 and just picked it up from there and started to clean up a bunch of side quests whenever. And it's awesome. I was playing Chronos on Switch 2. Is it as pretty as it is on a high-end gaming PC? Of course not. Is it awesome to have that game portably? Yes, it's great. And I don't have to deal with any of the headache stuff that comes with, wondering if my Steam Deck I'm going to have to tweak anything to play it. Like I can just jump in and play it. It's getting it got a, Switch 2 patch for Hollow Knight on day one. Like, that's awesome. Like you're getting a lot of indies here. You're getting a lot of third-party stuff, and you're getting a pretty healthy supply of first-party stuff. So I guess just ask yourself, like, what is missing specifically, and how long do you think it's going to take before we get those things? Because I do think it's going to be a while before we get a 3D Mario, which is a bummer, and it's going to be a while before we get a 3D Zelda, which is also a bummer. But what they're giving us between now and then, I'm really digging.
Yeah. Tears of the Kingdom was 2.5 years ago. That is not that long. It is
No.
really not that long at all. And I just think that there's not everybody. On Next Gen Console Watch, I said Nintendo fans are impatient. I think people are going to get mad at me for that. I think there's a subset of Nintendo fans that are only think a Direct is a success if it has 3D Mario, 3D Zelda, or Smash Brothers. And they're just not doing those things right now. And that's okay, because Bonanza
It's fine.
is better than a lot of the 3D Marios that are out there, and it's by the same team and has the same spirit. And you're getting Galaxy 2, which people begged and begged and begged for, and now it's here, and people kind of shrugged their shoulders seemingly at that announcement. Like, that's an amazing game that's coming out. And for people that think there's nothing to play, like, October has Galaxy and Pokemon, November has Hyrule Warriors and Kirby, December has Metroid, and then we already have like 6 things set up for the first half of next year. It's not the heaviest hitters in the world, but it's really cool looking Nintendo games. And I was one of the most critical voices ahead of the Switch 2 launch. I did not like their original April show. I had a lot of concerns.
You and I both, yeah.
Some of those have come to fruition, like key cards and pricing, I think, are a lot of things that are issues, and Switch 2 editions and weird upgrade paths. That's all come true. But something that hasn't is the stream of software. They've done a really, really, I think, impeccable job compared to other consoles' first years, compared to other consoles right now. Like, Switch 2 has the most stuff to do exclusively coming up this year.
The simplest way I can put it is that in my Switch 2 review, I stand by that I don't think you needed to buy a Switch 2 at launch. I think at launch, the value proposition just not really there with what there was. When DK came out, I think that's a pretty convincing reason if you can afford it, but it's still very expensive. By March of next year, I think I will very easily be able to say, yeah, there are plenty of reasons that you should want this system now, which, within a year is, again, way faster than I felt about the PS5 or the Series X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I still don't necessarily feel that way sometimes about those other ones. Like, honestly. Yeah. So I think it's...
I was going to say real quick, the PS4's swan song year was really, really strong. And I think it did a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like carrying that legacy into PS5, because we got Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima and some other stuff. But like, those early couple of months were pretty barren. And I feel like this, especially if you have never owned a Switch, like this is amazing right now. And if you're like us and you've played everything, it's slightly less so, but like we're still getting a lot of cool stuff in the first 6 months. And having worked this job through the 3DS and the Wii U, man, we're eating a lot better now than we were back then. So
yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, we got to call it there. I appreciate everyone. Oh, yes.
Bottom of the ninth. Mariners are up 2-0, but the bottom of the ninth is when we really come alive.
Is it the bottom of the ninth already?
Yeah.
Oh man, I missed the whole game. This show went so long. Okay. Thanks for watching this clip from Nintendo Voice Chat. Be sure to catch the full episode over at youtube.com/IGN Games. New episodes of NVC drop every Friday on IGN Games, IGN.com, and your favorite podcast platforms. With the Nintendo Switch 2 finally here, there is so much to dive into. We appreciate you tuning in, and don't forget, NVC is the only place you can get the thing.